All right, let's go. Okay. Okay. All right. So I'm just gonna give it a few minutes for y'all to join in. And my bad for the late start. I was actually trying to go back over a video that I'm going to show y'all a portion of real quick. So that way I have some content to start today's session off. All right. But again, thank you for joining in. I'm Divine Prospect of Kingdom Harbinger Ministries, and you are now on another Freestyle Friday session. All right. We about to get down. Remember, most of the stuff that we do on here is freestyle. Information, topic, subject matter, discussions, etc. You know what I mean? Sometimes I'll have something planned for you guys like last Friday, and unfortunately that didn't pan out. But I mean, the door's still open for that. Still room on the banquet table. You know what I'm saying? I just don't want to be on it. You feel what I'm saying? Those of you who know what I'm talking about from last week's session. But I'm going to chat with y'all about a little bit the video that I saw recently. You know what I'm saying? Speak on a little bit and then segue into just freestyle stuff that we normally talk about. You know what I mean? But I'm going to give it a moment for more people to jump in. And y'all can share this link so we can get the family up in here and we can get started. All right. So I'm going to give it a few more minutes and then we going to begin. All right. I'm going to start off by playing a song because not too long ago, somebody had got in touch with me that I had followed up with that actually followed my work online. And I was pretty surprised because, I kind of followed the brother's work too. He's very profound and well known in the circles that he's in. And he put together this song, and I wanted to play this song on here for you guys. You guys will let me know what you think about it. So I'm gonna start off with this song, and then I'm gonna go into the discussion. But anybody that has a product or service or even music or anything that you want featured on this channel, inbox me at kingdomharbinger@gmail.com so I can start promoting your businesses, your music, any goods or services, products that you offer or sell. If you have a non-for-profit organization, whatever the case may be, inbox us at kingdomharbinger@gmail.com. We'll work with you in putting together a small little commercial. And we can advertise it on here for you guys so that way the community can see what you have to offer. And again, one of the tenets that we stand on at Kingdom Harbinger Ministries is autonomy, right? So we want to establish a network so we can become more autonomous. And this is one of the ways to do so, and at the root of all of it is restoring culture, because when you're able to do that, then you give people the obligation to patronize one another. And that's what we want to continue to push here on this platform, as well as in KHM and anybody else who happens to wander in to this session and check it out. All right. So family, I'm gonna go ahead and let me play this song real quick, and I'm gonna wait for more people to jump in the session. I'm gonna go ahead and play this song while we wait.
Yeah. It's different times. Feel like change is necessary, Ain't nobody like us, this ain't every other side. Yeah, we don't arrive. Tell you every time, all I got is my people, that's why I lay it on the line. Only the real ones can display it over time. Ain't nobody like us, this ain't every other side. Yeah, we don't arrive. Tell you every time, all I got is my people, that's why I lay it on the line. Only the real ones can display it over time. I'm at the stage of life I prayed I make it to. Safe to say I made it, lacing wisdom, trying to save the youth. Ain't no way to play it, got impatient waiting. They can say it's make or break or take a place and face to either say it waiting or either wait to say it. I'm trying to do a lot for my people. It's not a race to place it. Most of y'all really just hate to hate it. It's crowded noise coming from sidelines. Y'all just making statements, dying for a chance to come replace the placement. Often misunderstood. These days that's just a disease. My life an open book. You just can't get niggas to read. Whatever the reason. Won't say I carry the peace, but will drop a nigga like the Pledge of Allegiance. It's really like that. They try niggas here every day. We ain't like that. They start beef and sleep like a baby. We send a nightcap. No real time to keep it rather than go without one. Learn the lesson. Don't play odds when you know the outcome. Ain't nobody like us. This ain't every other side. Yeah, we down the ride. Tell you every time. All I got is my people. That's why I lay it on the line. Only the real ones can display it over time. Ain't nobody like us. This ain't every other side. Yeah, we down the ride. Tell you every time. All I got is my people. That's why I lay it on the line. Only the real ones can display it over time. We from a different era. That talk ain't worth the action. Too much purpose lacking. Only care about pictures with the perfect caption. Understand it's different when you say steady switching up the lane, playing ignorant to fit in with the strange. Yeah, I know it. I tried to play the patient game and failed. Came back too special like a nigga Dave Chappelle. Make it sell. Of course I know my worth and pay me well. Even though they pay me well, I'm still gonna smoke and save the tails. A lot of shit they call a shame, I can flip and call it game. Time for ours to shine. The stars align like the Walk of Fame. Pull up a drink and toast it to spots my people holding. Yeah, the streets get crazier, I keep it closer. I brought them all, we need it kinda spacious. And no salam alaikum, these niggas hate, they gotta tolerate us. Yeah, we save every portion for home and stay alert. These niggas watch your shit more than they own.
Okay, I'm gonna stop there. Apologize. There's a little bit of explicit words in there. So I apologize for those of y'all who may have been slightly offended by that. But there's a message in what this song is conveying, and the reason why I played it is because you'll see me with the individual soon. Good brother, man, good brother. He's actually a battle rapper, right? And he's been, in the truth for a little bit. He came across my work, a while back, and has been watching my work and so forth. And he hit me up recently, and we spoke, and I followed up with him. We spoke, and man, his brother is it's interesting because I watched that a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I watched battle rap a little bit, and the reason why is because ingenuity and style and content. I like artists, or battle rappers who actually push the envelope and they're able to convey information that is not, the usual stuff that you hear on the radio. But there's a lot of creativity in battle rap, right? And I'm saying to myself, I said, man, for a lot of those brothers who had that same type of energy and they put it, behind speaking the truth to our community, like, how grand that would be. You feel what I'm saying? So, to know that this is one of several brothers who I know as battle rappers that have reached out to me, and I've chatted with them and spoke with them and so forth, that have seen my work, you know what I'm saying? And that follow the stuff that I do. And then they send me music. They say, hey, if you want to come through to this event, we got you, blah, blah. I appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? I really do. So again, you'll see, me with the brother soon. No, that's not who I'm talking about. Actually, he's part of what I'm talking about, but that's not the artist who did that song. But I'm not gonna let the cat out the bag just yet. I'm gonna wait till y'all see me with the brother. I'll put a video up or whatnot of us chopping it up in person, and I'll go ahead and put it out from y'all. All right. So just wanted to play a little bit of that because I thought that song was tight. He decided he wanted to share it with me. So I decided I wanted to share it with y'all. Hold on real quick. Let me adjust this. Why is this not adjusting? All right, trying to adjust this camera. Hold on, give me a second. I don't know if that's any better, but it probably isn't. All right, it's cool. It is definitely cool. I'm not at my desk, so That's why the settings is not how it's supposed to be, but it's all good. All right. I'll keep it there. It's cool. All right. So, like I said, you'll see me with the brother soon. But the brother is definitely, if I was, when I do watch battle rap, he's definitely top 5. Definitely. And I was actually watching one of his battles, before he hit me up. I was like, oh, okay. I don't know if it's a coincidence or that's the Most High working. I don't know. And I'm saying time will tell. Time will definitely tell. All right. So, I think enough of y'all is in there. So, shalom, shalom to y'all family. Shabbat shalom to y'all who are keeping the Shabbat. I mean, those who start your Shabbat rest in the evening. Those who keep the Shabbat as the 7th day, and the Shabbaton portion, which is sunrise to sunset, as the set apart Sabbath. Those of you who may not even keep today as the Sabbath, but are Israelites who identify as Israelites, or that's part of this culture. I want to say shalom and Shabbat shalom to y'all family. Give a couple of shout outs to the people that I see that's in the chat. Shout out to the Black Av 1, on GP Shalom, my brother Kyle Camaris, Jeremy Harris, Get Wise, Hebrews in the Hood. No, I didn't see the debate yet. Send that to me, inbox it to me on Facebook, and let me check it out. Shout out to Virgil Johnson, Yanib Yasharala, and BBC. Definitely check the brother out on his buying back our communities. Shout out to DKR Music, Shalom, my brother Malik in the building, Katriel Ben Israel, Cajun Water Truth, the Prince of God, Fly After Realm, Barzallah Avshalom Shamar Yah, Daniela Ali Yael, the Prince of God, I said you already, Adaya Yisrael, One World Meditation, let me see, Reborn Warrior. So shout out Tarandala Maduka, Kenneth Lopez in the building, Lily Rose. Yes, he is on URL. He is somebody that is a top card. Matter of fact, he's on the card on the new URL event that's coming out called the Strike 2.5 that's coming out in October of next month. You know, I mean, I was invited to come along as well. So we'll see. But yes, he's on the URL. He's one of their top battle rappers on URL. So he's well known. But again, I'm gonna hold off until until after me and the brother meet in person and chop it up. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause we chopped it up already, but just not in person. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna have a bill with him. Shout out to Kadara Israel. Shout out to G Tracks Beats in the building, and Doris Pie, my brother Del H in the building. Yosef Jones, shalom, shalom. All right. So y'all go ahead and share this link and get more people up in here, and let's get started. All right. All right, family. So y'all see what the topic is, right? Response to X Ministries Pastor Craige Lewis, right? There's a video that's going out by X Ministries Pastor Craige Lewis, and this is interesting because Pastor Craige Lewis, those of you who don't know, he had a series that he did back in the day where he was exposing the hip hop industry, right? And when I was a Christian, I watched all of his material on that. I mean, I loved that material. And I think the brother did an excellent job with that. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, I was a supporter of his work. You know what I'm saying? But since, transitioning into being an Israelite, a lot of the stuff that that used to pique my interest as a Christian, I started to wane interest in. You know what I'm saying? Because they were more in-depth things that I was looking at, that I was studying, and I wasn't just looking to be entertained, or I wasn't just looking to be given infotainment. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Aldrich Dow. I'm not going to tell you yet. Yes, Reborn Warrior, it is the truth behind hip hop. Shout out to Incendio Gamer. Shalom, shalom. And you'll be surprised, man, the type of people that actually join in and you know what I'm saying, and watch this channel, man. I'm just blessed by the Most High. I mean, we got people all over the world that tune into this, you know what I'm saying, and celebrities. 2 other celebrities hit me up. The reason why I mentioned that battle rap is because I had a track that he sent me and I told him I would feature it. So I wanted to keep my word. But I had 2 other celebrities. One hit me up on Twitter, one hit me up on Instagram. 2 celebrities. that hit me up and said, "Oh, we we like your work," and I'm like, "What?" You know what I'm saying? So when I meet them in person and I have a sit down conversation with them, then I'll put that on the channel so you guys can see who I'm talking about. But I thank the Most High that this information is going out there. You know what I'm saying? And this is why I try to do my best to make this as friendly to the audience as possible, because you never know who's watching. I have families that watch this, faithfully almost every Friday that I go live. You know what I'm saying? And I'm grateful for that. Or they'll wait until the Sabbath and they'll watch it, because some people will be asleep by this time. You know what I'm saying? But all praise to the Most High for that. So back to what I was talking about. So when I transitioned, I didn't watch no more of Craige Lewis's Ministries, right? It's X Ministries work. I wasn't really keeping up with him or anything like that, because that just wasn't an interest of mine anymore. But then I realized over the past couple of years that more and more pastors became hip to what they call the Black Hebrew Israelite movement. And now all of a sudden, all of them want to come out and be apologists and, try to expose this cult, right? And it's really interesting, because it seems like the ones that they always talk about are the ones that is deemed to be extreme, but they never sit and talk to the ones that are a little bit more laid back, a little bit more moderate, and that can do a much better job conveying things, not to the people on the street, because there's a certain way you address people on the street. You know what I'm saying? Whether people like it or they don't like it, they love it or they hate whatever the Israelites doing in the corners, that's the work that they do. But there's some Israelites who don't do that work. You feel what I'm saying? And they do work as think tanks behind the scene to push and advance the community forward. So when I saw this video, because several people was hitting me up on that, it was like, "Yo, Devon, can you respond to this, and that?" And I'm like, all right, I'll go and respond to it. And after I seen it, I was like, wow, that's interesting. I would love to have a discussion and or a debate with Pastor Craige Lewis. So if anybody out there knows Pastor Craige Lewis, definitely holler at him. I have my administrator reach out to them already, waiting for a response back. But if anybody knows Pastor Craige Lewis of X Ministries, please have him reach out to me, so that way I can have a dialogue with him and try to correct them on some things, because I was a little thrown back by some of the statements he made. But then I thought about it and I said, you know what? If I was still a Christian apologist, which I was at one point in time, I would probably have the same views as him if my views was predicated on just watching the extremism on YouTube or watching extremism on the street corner. So I would dig and dive and try to get some information. It's interesting because they say that I'm gonna go over a couple of points that he made. Before I do, I want to play the last portion of the video, so he kind of sums everything up there. But it's interesting when they say that Hebrew Israelites learn things from YouTube and conspiracy theories, all this other stuff. It's interesting that they say that in Google, but it shows to me that when they try to get information, when they investigate the Hebrew Israelites' beliefs or tenets of faith, they get it from the same sources: YouTube, Google, or even a bad experience on a street corner, which is highly hypocritical. It's extremely hypocritical, extremely hypocritical. So I was like, wow, this is really interesting, because he started to say things that were very disturbing, extremely disturbing, because it shows that they believe that we are only operating at a low cognitive level. Like we are only operating at a base level, and we have no intellect in our community, right? We don't have any structure, no organization, no think tanks. We don't have any articles written, no books produced. They make it seem like we're just a bunch of people who come from broken homes, like they said, that are fatherless, broken homes, church hurt, people who have unforgiveness and bitterness harbored in their heart, people who hate other people already, and that we're just looking to a hidden truth for us to vent all these extreme emotions and pent up anger and do what we call in psychology defense mechanisms. Again, a lot of y'all, I've shared with y'all before, I went to John Jay College for criminal psychology, and I learned a lot from that college. And one thing that I learned is that a lot of criminals, to avoid the guilt of a crime when they commit it is to project it on others or deflect it towards others, right? These are things that they do. Deflection and projection are not the same thing. But these are things that they do so that they can shift the burden off of themselves and place it elsewhere, right? And it's unfortunate that they say that the only time that people come to this movement, they have bitterness and anger and hatred. And it's interesting because when I was a Christian, I used to evangelize on the street corner, right? I used to go out there with big churches and hand out flyers and, you know, try to do the sinner's prayer in the street. And it's interesting because I realized that the people, and listen to this, the people who fell, I'm not going to say fell in a bad way. Let me not say fall. The people who were drawn to what we were offering and what we were sharing were people that came from broken homes, people that were fatherless, people that were drunks, people that was on drugs, people who had issues, domestic violence. These are the type of people that we would get. But if we came across somebody who said, nah, I got my culture, I'm good, or nah, I came up in a good home, I'm good, what do you have to tell them? Because you could not sell the message to them if they had things in order. So what they did was we went out to people who were not in order and we went and grabbed them, which is interesting. And I'm not saying it's not biblical, but what I'm saying is the same people that they say that the Black Hebrew Israelite, and that's a bad term, attract, is the same people that they attract and that they convert and that they bring into their churches. And then they wonder why all these things happen to their churches, because they say that Hebrew Israelites are unregenerate, which I found highly offensive. They say that we're unregenerate. But yet you bring these people off the street who have issues as well. And a lot of churches, not all of them, they do it so that way they can up their numbers in their congregation. And yet you're bringing people who also are unregenerate, and they're bringing those same habits and that same spirit, that same energy into that congregation. And now all of this stuff starts happening. The church is not perfect. So you cannot sell somebody a story to think that once you get in a church that it'll be perfect. And again, I'm not here to bash Christianity. I'm not here to bash church. I'm just here to respond, right? Because now I'm doing apologetics. What he did was he was acting as a polemicist. So he was polemicist. So that means he was putting forth a polemic. He was putting forth an offensive argument in regards to what it is that we subscribe to. So all I'm doing is I'm responding, and I'm actually the one conveying the apologetics right now. So this is why I'm saying this. So when I came into this movement, it wasn't because I had a broken home. It wasn't because I was fatherless. It wasn't because I had bitterness and anger and church hurt. And I didn't have none of that when I was coming into this truth. I didn't have any of that. I had somebody share information with me that started me on this path that I was on. Somebody shared some information that contradicted where I was at in regards to my studies as a Christian. It challenged me, and that challenge brought me to where I'm at today. So all of the stuff that he was saying, it may apply to some people, but it didn't apply to me and a lot of others that I know that are in this walk. It's just people that were doing their due diligence and researching and studying, or got an epiphany on something and decided to pursue that, and they woke up. Now, if anybody who watches this channel, y'all know what I say all the time. I say that the information must transform your character, and that is a process. It doesn't happen overnight. I'm still in that process. I'm a work in process, actually, but I see where the goal line is, and I'm walking towards it every day. No matter how many times I may go back, I'm moving forward. And some people will say, well, the law can't save you. So I say to them, this is not about the law. This is about culture. See, when people use that term law, what they're arguing against is Judaism. What I'm promoting and what I'm sharing and what I'm trying to restore and reconstruct is our culture. It's a totally different mindset. And this is why I keep telling you guys that I have diverged away from all of the traces of Judaism, and I've embraced something that is unorthodox in our community. And what I've learned is a lot of vital lessons that help to boost your morale, right? That helps to improve your ethical value in which you can possess for yourself and which you can offer to others. So when people say these type of things as if we're unbalanced and as if we're wavering, as if we have issues and so forth, I tell people all the time, it doesn't matter what uniform you put on. You can put on any uniform. You can put the uniform as a Christian. You can put the uniform as a Muslim. Put the uniform as a Hebrew Israelite. You can put the uniform as a Jew. Uniform as a Hindu. Uniform as a Taoist. Uniform as a Buddhist. A uniform as a doctor, a lawyer, a mother, father. You can put any uniform on. That's what's on the outside. That's the title. What really counts is the character underneath that. So I don't care what religion you link yourself up to, what culture you join. At the end of the day, it's about transformation of character, which means that your good must outweigh your bad. So you must have a discerning factor or a moral compass, what they call it, that allows you to progress towards something that is equally beneficial to your community, and it is rooted in what they call the golden rule: do unto others as you have them do unto you. But if you don't love yourself first, then that means you're not going to treat somebody else with love. So people say, oh, just do unto others as you unto yourself. Wait a second. Do you even love yourself? Do you even respect or value who you are? Because if you don't respect who you are, you don't value who you are, you don't love who you are, that's not going to be conveyed towards others. All right. All right. Let's move back. Let's back. So I went and I listened to this video, and I'm going to play the last portion of it for you. And then I'm gonna go over the points that was made in the video, because I'm not going to play the entire video. It's like 38 minutes, right? I'm going to go over the points that was made in the video, and I'm going to give a little commentary on those points. And like I said, I was really just astounded by the false notions that they had. I mean, there's a lot of red herrings, right? Because they're not really getting to the root of it. And one thing that I've realized in Christianity is, and this is not all Christians, but in Christianity as an ecumenical movement, is the erasure of ethnic lines, the erasure of cultural lines, the erasure of a individual identity. And what it seeks to do, Christendom seeks to do, is alleviate you of all of these things that they see as burdens and welcome you in to a body that functions with the ultimate goal of benefiting or building up the system that was created around Christianity. It is a system, or what we see in the book of Revelation, the Nicolaitan doctrine. Nikos, Nike, lay. It's a conquering of the layman. It's a doctrine on how to conquer the layman, and you do so by a means of evangelism. So I shared this before a while back, and it was a particular individual. His name escapes me right now, but if you go back in my videos I did about 2 years ago, I spoke on this. And he was a Catholic. Was he Catholic? I think he was a Catholic missionary, and he was sent to South America, right? And his job was to go to South America and actually convert the locals there, right? Before he went there, he said, listen, when they trained them, they said, look, what you have to do is these several things in order to convert them. Number one, you have to offer them something that they don't have. Number two, you have to make it economically sound. And number three, you have to make comparisons or parallelisms of what we teach in our religion to what they have in their culture. And when you do all these things and you show them how they fall short, then they will realize that they don't have it all together, and that they will submit to what it is that you're offering them. Needless to say, this guy went on several missions because he was young and he was zealous. And he said, listen, I know several other missionary generations before me tried to convert these people and they were unable to. He said, well, I'll be able to do it. So he went and he lived amongst these people for a long time. And after his little tenure with that community or group, when he left out, he became an atheist. And you're going to be like, he became an atheist? What do you mean he became an atheist? Yes, he became an atheist. And when I say atheist, he may be agnostic, but it seems as if he's atheist. But the one thing he realized is something that once I watched what he shared, it helped build up what it is that I was sharing and teaching. I realized that culture is the immune system of a community. Culture, immune system of a community. It protects the community from foreign influences that seek to undermine and overthrow it and supplement it with a religion or a political or economic benefits. So when you lack culture, you are wide open for anything to come your way. And that anything that comes your way, it starts to tug at certain instinctual needs that you have, the root one being self-preservation, and you start to give into it. Okay. So I realized that he said there was nothing that he had that he can offer this community because everything that they needed came from their culture. And he said no matter how hard he tried to convince them that they were lacking or missing something, and he would come to them and say, oh, you need Jesus and you need this, you need that. They said, for what? Why do we need that? Does it look like we have any issues, any problems here? There's no crime amongst us. And if it is, it's very minimal. There's no hatred for each other amongst us. Nobody's on drugs. Nobody's drinking. There's no spousal abuse. None of these things are here. And he realized that how could I offer Jesus to somebody who's not broken? Wow. That's deep. That's deep because they got to teach you. They see this is how it works. We can't teach you that if he was to say to them, well, you in sin and you guys are sinning, they said we are. What sins are we committing? You got to think about that because remember, he's saying this from a Western mindset, a Western perspective. He's going in and saying to them, oh, yo, you guys are sinning and we are. How are we sinning? You got to think about that. They said, damn, they're not breaking none of the 10 commandments. And then he thought, well, maybe it's because they're serving other gods and other idols. And he said, well, what are we idolizing? We believe in a creator just like you do. Our lives are a reflection of the one whom we serve. He was like, wow, I can't get them with that. They didn't have any idols and stuff and shrines. Now, that's not to say some other indigenous groups don't have them. But I'm saying is they didn't have that. So it was like there was nothing that he can find. And, you know, Christians, a lot of them don't even keep the fourth commandment for the Sabbath anyway. So, you know, that wasn't something he brought up. But he was like, damn, there's no covetousness. They're not killing. They're not bearing false witness. They're not stealing. Wow, this is really interesting. So he really did not have much to sell them. So what he had to do was get them to regress and say, well, you were born a sinner. And they said, well, sir, how could we be born doing something that we have no knowledge of? How is that even possible? How can your God judge the children or the babies from something that they have no knowledge or understanding of? Could the issue be the culture that you're from? You got to think about that. He was like, oh. So over time, spending years amongst these people, seeing how content they were, seeing them laugh and joke, seeing their order and structure in the community, not broken down by any media, because there was no media in the community, you know what I'm saying? There's no radio, there was no TV, there was no internet, you know what I'm saying? And not being afflicted by afflicted by the perils of a fallen society. And being tempted thereof to do things that are lewd and wicked, they were content because their culture protected them from these things. Their culture. So he decided that, okay, look, I realized that there was no need for them to at least have the God that I'm offering them. And then when he started to research that, he realized that this was a tactic that missionaries had used on indigenous people for hundreds of years. Hundreds of years. Hundreds of years. Make it economically viable to them. Make it politically appealing to them. Make it a way that what they're doing is wrong and it's evil and it's wicked. And you need to follow our way. Calling them pagans, which is just a country dweller. And trying to get them to convert was really interesting. Now, again, I'm not attacking Christians per se. I'm not attacking Christianity per se. I'm attacking Christendom. And I'm trying to express to you what it does. So how does this relate back to Craig Lewis? It's because the objective of this X Ministries episode is a form of evangelism. Anytime they do apologetics, it's a form of evangelism because their objective is to wake people up out of this cult and bring them to Jesus Christ. That's what they say, bring them to Jesus Christ. That's the objective. Wake them up out of the cult, bring them to Jesus Christ. Interesting. So let me play this snippet for you guys. Then I'm gonna address the points, and then we're gonna open up for discussion. All right. I want to share that link for you guys. Matter of fact, let me see if I can find the video of the guy that I'm talking about. Let me find the video of this guy I was talking about. Probably find him. Where's he at? Ah, got him. I found him. His name is Daniel Everett. I'm gonna post the video for you guys here so you guys can check it out. I'm gonna post a video for you guys. His name is Daniel Everett. That's his name. I want you guys to watch this video I'm about to post. And this goes back to how culture can protect you. All right, here we go. There's the video. Y'all can check that out. All right. All right. So now the question that Kokab Tafari, shout out to Kokab Tafari, Aldrich Down and building Mr. Black Culture. Yahweh is one. Shout out to y'all for joining in. Born El Allah. I appreciate that. See, my brother's here from the 5 cent nation. You know, peace to the brother in the building. Shamayawan, Ayash Hawa, my brother's in the building. B Banks is in here. David Israel, Dada SPK, Trish Martin. Shout out to all y'all joining in. Adanya Haor. I think that's everybody. All right, I got y'all. Appreciate y'all. The Prince of God. Appreciate y'all for joining in. Tabitha West in the building. Love from Kuwait. My sister out there from Kuwait. Shout out to the sister, man. So let me go ahead and play some of this video for you, and we'll transition and we'll pick it up. All right. But when you say all unrighteousness is sin, there is something that you are measuring that against. And this is why when I say when you read the Tanakh, it is a cultural piece of literature. It was written to a specific demographic, which means that whatever laws that they established are the ones that is being spoken of. When we get to the Brit Hadashah, these are people who are also of this ethnic group that the Tanakh was written towards. So when they're speaking based on their cultural perception, which shapes their worldview. This is what we're talking about. This is why I tell people, listen, in another culture, there's a form of salvation in your culture. There's a form of salvation in your culture. There is. It exists. For Israelites, we get it from the Tanakh. And we see it further exemplified in the Brit Hadashah. But it's very clear. It is a cultural piece of literature. You latch on to what is your culture. That will protect you. If you latch on to religion, you're going to have a lot of issues. Or you may not have issues. But at the end of the day, the way that you convey it is going to impede upon somebody else's liberty in regards to their culture. Because you'll see yourself doing that. Because this is what it's done historically. Not saying everybody's out there to proselytize, but this is the truth. Same thing with any other kind of religion. So, let's play this video. Let me play this video. So Aldrich Dow says, isn't religion a part of culture? No. Religion derives a lot of its substance from culture, but religion is all-encompassing. Religion is ecumenical. It takes the benefits of culture, right? And it takes it and it fuses it into a brand new institutionalized system. And what it does is that once it absorbs the principles, right, that work in the culture, then what it does is that the things on the outward part of the culture it deems it to be witchcraft. It deems it to be paganism. It deems it to be idolatry. So now what a person will do is they will abandon the full substance of what they've been consuming that kept them a cohesive whole and beneficially functional within their community. And now they are being absorbed into the matrix of a religion that is designed to be colonialist and imperialist at its root and source. And its objective is to pull in adherents who are the batteries to fuel the institutionalized system. The culture is not set up for anybody to come in. It is only for the people whose ancestors have created it and who are the people that are evolving it. It's different. See, religion doesn't see no color lines, supposedly. Religion doesn't care who you are, doesn't care where you come from. None of that matters because we're offering you a form of salvation. We want to save you from yourself. We want to save you from your ancestors. We want to save you from your common sense to certain things. That's what religion does. So we're gonna backtrack. What I'm gonna do is I see a lot of y'all talking about religion and culture, and you may not understand how I'm conveying it. But what I'll do is I'll put a little presentation together for y'all, get some sources and so forth, so y'all can fully understand what it is that I'm telling you in regards to religion and culture. Matter of fact, the link that I sent you, check it out, and you'll understand what it is that I'm talking about. He will share with you what it was that changed him in regards to his experience. So let's move back. So Aldrich Dow says, so which culture do you belong to, Divine? Which culture I belong to? The ancient pre-exilic Israelite culture. The ancient pre-exilic Israelite culture. That is what I subscribe to. And if you don't watch none of my videos or material on this channel, then you probably will have no clue what that is. Take some time, go through some videos, and you'll start to uncover what it is that I'm saying. But that is the culture that I work with. It's not religion in any sense of the word. It may resemble what people deem as religion in certain aspects, and that's because the religion has pulled from this culture to be the institution that it is today. Okay. All right. Okay, so let me get to this video because otherwise I'll be answering everything you guys have to say, which I would love to do, but we on time schedule. All right. Got another hour to rock with y'all and then I'm out. All right. So let me play some of this video for y'all. Where did I do with it? Oh, here it is. I'm gonna play. It's the last 2-3 minutes, right? Where he's going to give the closing statement, okay? And this sums up what they were talking about. Then I'm going to go into a couple of points, all right? So let me go ahead and play this for y'all, all right? Hold on. Hold on one second. I got you. Hold on. Oh, wait. It will help to unmute it, right? So let me do that. So, and I'm going to get. All right. And any of y'all who want to have a discussion with anything that I've said, I will share the link to the Hangouts after we're done with this portion. All right. So you don't have to just type stuff in the chat. You can actually have a dialogue with me. All right. But let's go ahead and take some time. Let's check this out, family.
Yeah, this final thought. Blacks in America seems to be the group that is plagued
with more fatherlessness than any other people group. But our broken home crisis in our community cannot be totally attributed to the white man and slavery. Before Africans arrived in America as slaves, they were enslaved in Africa. They were spoils of war, and their families were divided and conquered by fellow African tribes and said to be and sold to American traders. Today, Black Americans are lashing out and crying racism while producing racists in the process. Because of bad upbringings, traumatic, immoral acts, and broken homes, many Black Americans are looking for someone to blame for their pain and suffering. The hurt they feel inside comes from broken homes, broken promises, loss of innocence at the hands of their own kind. This is causing them to reach out and seek for hidden truths to explain and identify the pain they feel. So they Google and watch YouTube to find inconsistencies in the beliefs of those they feel hurt them or let them down. This is the recipe that the Black Hebrew Israelites and other racist doctrines need to plant and grow their demonic fruits. The sad part is that these beliefs do not erase the pain, so the followers still suffer emotionally and spiritually. In order to save this generation, we must get back to having sound homes.
Wow. Demonic? Yeah. This is crazy, man. Yo, hold on. Let's go back. Oh, let's go back. That was interesting. That was really interesting. Let's go back.
So they Google and watch YouTube to find inconsistencies, are lashing out and crying racism while producing racists in the process. Because of bad upbringings, traumatic, immoral acts, and broken homes, many Black Americans are looking for someone to blame for their pain and suffering. The hurt they feel inside comes from broken homes, broken promises, loss of innocence at the hands of their own kind. This is causing them to reach out and seek for hidden truths to explain and identify the pain they feel. So they Google and watch YouTube to find inconsistencies in the beliefs of those they feel hurt them or let them down. This is the recipe that the Black Hebrew Israelites and other racist doctrines need to plant and grow their demonic fruits. The sad part is that these beliefs do not erase the pain, so the followers still suffer emotionally and spiritually. In order to save this generation, we must get back to having sound homes, teaching sound doctrine, and practicing, most importantly, sound behavior.
So the only people that are doing that are Christians? Wow, that's interesting. Let's keep going.
Making our children our top priority and loving them the right way. Only then will they see the love that God has and trust in what the Bible really says. 1 Timothy 4:1 says, "Now the Spirit speaketh expressly that in latter times some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils, speaking lies and hypocrisy, and having their conscience seared with a hot iron."
My God. My God. My God. Okay. All right, family. Y'all heard that for yourselves. Not much I have to say. But let's go over, I'm going to go over a couple of points that he made throughout the video. And y'all don't have to go back and check the video because I'm not going to play the video on here, you know what I'm saying? But y'all go back and check the video out. But I'm going to address a couple of points that he made, all right? Okay. So, man, y'all going in. Shout out to Sam Bone in the building. Amas Yahu Yisrael in the building. My brother Bezaliel Yisrael in the building. King Kosher in here with us. Clarence Washington, shout out to you as well. My brother S. McGee in the building. All right, let's go in, family. Let's go in. Let's go in. Let's go in. All right. Let's go in. All right. So what I did was I took some notes. And there's a lot of things that he said in here, right? One of the first things he started off with saying that that the Hebrew Israelite, the Black Hebrew Israelite movement is a spinoff of the Nation of Islam, the Nation of Gods and Earth, and Rastafarianism. Wow, that is interesting. So it's a spinoff of these things. Can you show us how this is a spinoff. What are you basing this off of? Please show us. Then he goes to say that a lot of it is rooted in Old Testament beliefs. Really? A lot of Christianity is rooted in what's called Old Testament beliefs too. But I digress. He says, well, the girl on the lady on there, not girl, but the woman on there, she stated the history starts with F.S. Cherry back in 1886 from Chattanooga, Tennessee. And then she also goes into say that William Crowdy also got the revelation. This has to do with Israelites being descendants, white man being an adversary, all this other stuff they're saying, right? Which I think is extremely interesting. When I stumbled upon, I don't want to say about stumbled, but you know, even as a Christian and before I was in a Christian, I lived in New York City, right? So seeing the Hebrew Israelites was not something that was hard to find. I mean, growing up, I would always see them, but I wouldn't understand what they were saying, so I never engaged them. As a Christian, I started to engage them, and then when I diverged from Christianity, it took some time to just look at everything. I realized how it was an error, right? And it's not to say that I agree with everything that was being taught or shared with me from the individual that I encountered, right? But some of the things they did say did stick. But I didn't know much about F.S. Cherry or even William Crowdy when I came into this. So I didn't know anything about them, right? I didn't learn about them until maybe a year or so into the truth. Then I started to really research and figure out who these characters were. But at that point, I was already convinced on my own. I didn't have somebody standing over me or calling me or text me and inbox me every day and say, yo, you got to read this and look into this. And I didn't have that, right? I had my own liberty to look into this thing. But here's the thing. I can come out and say the sky is blue because the water of the ocean is in the sky. I could come out and say that. And then maybe years from now, somebody else may, hear that from another vessel and be like, wow, that's interesting. I wonder if that is true. And then they go and they do their investigation, independent, and they realize, wait a second, it is blue because of that. And it's based on this research, this methodology, doing this lab test and this and that. Wow, it really is. That's really the reason why it is. Now, they may not know the individual who echoed this, and the person who echoed this, it doesn't matter what assertion is put forward. It's the substantiation behind the claim that justifies it. This is what we call epistemology. So if, let's say, for example, it was F.S. Cherry that came up with this wild idea, or William Crowdy that came up with this wild idea. Doesn't matter what idea they come up with. The bottom line is, can it be verified and validated? That's what counts. So I'm going to back off and leave that alone because this does not pertain to me. And matter of fact, what it is that I share with the audience and the KHM and the supporters and people that watch the channel, the culture I share with y'all is really different than what Crowdy and Cherry was teaching their congregations. It's kind of different. That goes to show that my frame of thinking was not hinged on their teachings or their doctrine, and nothing to do with that. So this is what I'm saying, but this is points that they made. They say that they believe that ancient Hebrews are black and African Americans are their descendants. Now, I don't use that term black anymore. And the reason why I don't use black, when I say black, I'm not talking about I don't say things as it pertains to black, because it's a colloquial term and people identify with it. So I use that connotation because I know people gravitate towards it. But we're going to talk realistically speaking. That term black and white and terms like that, we may have heard them mentioned in history, but that same ideology behind this color thing, this race thing, that came about by what we would deem as stereotypical racist anthropologists that push that. So, and not just them, they helped to support an idea that came about after the Renaissance period, okay? Or the new age of reason came about. Prior to that, people were dealing with ethnicity, your ethnic group. So when I teach about being an Israelite, I'm talking about ethnicity. And there's a lot that comes along with ethnicity, as opposed to just black. Then he says they believe, African Americans believe that they are the descendants. Well, belief is one thing, having a case for it is another. So you can present a case, and there's going to be people that are pro and con in regards to what you present, but it's how you present the case. So I've presented a case to the community for peer review in regards to why I subscribe to the notion that a good amount of us here in America, as what people call so-called blacks, African Americans, Negroes, are descendants from the ancient Israelites. Hebrew Israelites, black Hebrew Israelites, Jews, those are all different terms. I just say the Israelites, and I say that for a reason. It's not by accident that I'm saying that specifically. All right. Then he said they use Jeremiah 8 and then Genesis 15 saying that African Americans will suffer, slavery here in America. I don't teach that doctrine that the 400 years skipped the Mizraim captivity and came over here to us in America. Right? I don't teach that, right? But I understand that doctrine, but I don't teach that. But I understand why those who teach that as a prophecy, why they teach it. All I'm saying is I know the arguments and I have my own position on that. But first, I have to understand the argument, right? Anything that I present, I have to fully understand the opposing criticism and the opposing argument, right? This is extremely important if you want to be objective when you have a dialogue with somebody, right? And if I don't understand the opposing view, I withdraw until I do understand. And if I have a dialogue with somebody, I give them an opportunity to express. So a straw man is not drawn to express what is your worldview. What is your vantage point? What is your perspective? They say they twist scripture to their own self-hatred. This is truly mind-blowing. As if there are not Christians out there who are self-hating themselves. There are not Christians out there who are racist. There are Christians out there who harbor bitterness and anger and animosity. So are you saying that there's no Christians that exemplify these attributes? That is only people in our community? That's truly incredible. That's truly incredible. That goes to show that they do what's called a hasty generalization, which is a logical fallacy. They're taking a small sample and they're throwing it on the entire whole. You can't do that. That's a logical fallacy. See, I pointed out at least 6 logical fallacies in their argumentation, which I would love to bring to him and actually address it with him. But I digress. They say they have an obedience to the law of Moses. The law of Moses? Moses did not author that law. He received it from his testimony based on divine inspiration. And he authored what he was told to write down, meaning that he was not the person that originated the concept. According to the literature, it came from a divine entity. Moses just wrote down a draft, but the scribes and the priests were the ones responsible for maintaining that. So, and there wasn't a book, all right? It's more, that's called a gloss, right? That's a gloss is when you have one term that you think of in one state of mind. It could be an idiom, a phrase, a term. And what you do is you take that idea and you impose it onto another word. And the reason why you do that is because of your contemporary understanding of something, and you gloss it over something else. And what happens is you start to do what's called a misnomer, right? So that means you name something incorrectly, right? And that happens a lot. So I say there was no book. It was more than likely a scroll, because book did not exist at that time when Moshe was in existence. And we talking about the Bronze Age period, right? Remember, you have the early Bronze Age, middle Bronze Age, late Bronze Age, and then you have Iron Age 1, Iron Age 2, et cetera, right? There was no books at that time. They had scrolls, they had parchment. There was no books. So whenever we say the book of the law, technically that's incorrect. Historically, that's incorrect. It's not correct. But that's a gloss. When you get into linguistics and language, you'll understand these terms. But that's extremely important, because if you don't understand what a gloss is, you're going to misinterpret a lot what you read in the text. And the students that I teach, In exclusive classes, they understand this. They'll be able to identify what a gloss is, right? But I say this to say that when they say they obey the law of Moses, I'm like, that's incorrect. What do you mean the law of Moses? What the heck is a law of Moses? People say that all the time. The law of Moses, as if it originated from Moses according to the literature. And I'm saying that specifically for a reason and strategically for a reason. Then they say, talk about the outfits. Oh yeah, the outfits they got on the corner here, they look like Mortal Kombat. Well, even though I personally myself will not wear the garments that they wear, one thing that I will say is the fact that you can identify them as being distinct means that they have a culture. So you may not agree with the message they're conveying because of the way that they're presenting it, but the fact that they have their own garments that they created goes to show that they're owning their own culture. Okay. But I digress, because you know what I was told? Let me tell you guys what I was told. When I was going to the church, and you know, people say, come as you are. Come as you are. I'm like, all right, whatever that means. You come as you are, as much as you do go. And I used to come to church sometimes like business casual wear. Sometimes I would dress down, whatever the case may be. But I was told by one of the ministers there on the ecclesiastical staff, like, man, you know, you don't think about wearing a suit, a tie, and a shirt, and a shirt tie, and a suit on, and some good shoes. And I'm like, I don't feel that way coming to church. Yeah, but you know, it's a good idea because you know you want to display excellence for God. You know, didn't you go to the clubs back in the day? I'm like, yeah. Didn't you put on some nice fly outfits? Nah, not all the time. Sometimes I would, sometimes I wouldn't. Depends on how I felt. Well, the bottom line is you should dress good for God. So wait, so dressing good for God is me wearing executive-esque attire. That's dressing good for God. Doesn't matter about my character. Doesn't matter about the righteousness that I'm striving to attain, right? Beneath the garments, I have to dress with a suit and tie as if I'm going to an executive board meeting in order for me to be appealing to God. But I digress. Let's keep going. They say, now mind you, they're only talking about one segment of our community. They say they spend more time convincing people who they are than they do saving people of their sins. That's interesting because even though I may disagree with some of the stuff that's being taught by our brothers that's on the street corner, I agree with some things, I disagree with some other things. What I will say is that when it comes to them conveying who we are, they always follow that up with keeping the statutes, laws, and commandments. And that is how they present to the people who they feel is the audience for their message, how they can be saved from their sins. They say, here's the law. That's their solution. But Christianity disagrees with that. And again, that term law is, I mean, it is a wide spectrum term or a broad spectrum term. You have to specify what are we talking about. I say it is the culture, and it's a cultural mandate that is passed down from the ancestors onto the descendants for them to keep in order to protect themselves from the outside influences that seek to undermine and destroy it. Here's an example. When the Most High separated and made Israel Kodesh, set apart, when he brought them out of Mizraim and brought them into Canaan, he told them something very important. He said to them, do not take on the practices of the Egyptians and do not take on the practices of the Canaanites. And where you're going, where you came from, and where you're going. He said, I'm going to give you something to make you distinct and set apart because this is going to protect your culture. Because the moment you open up the door and you allow all other type of stuff to come in, you will no longer identify your culture. You will no longer know where you came from, where you're going, and who you are today. That will be lost in the sauce because you're taking a whole bunch of other things, you're amalgamating, and you're producing something out of it. So this was the one of the precepts or commandments from the Torah to the children of Israel. So they also go to say they spend more time defending what they believe. That's interesting to say that when you're a Christian apologist and you spend a good deal of your time, I'm not saying Craig Lewis in particular, but there's a lot of Christian apologists that I see spend more time defending what they believe than what they call sharing the gospel. Okay. He said their fist is always balled up, but as far as me watching the video, I never really seen him explain what he meant by the fist being balled up. Is that a sign of anger or something like? I don't know. He said they say words like Shabbat, Yah, Yahweh, stuff like that. He said, and they only know 8 Hebrew words. Really? Wow. He must have been around a lot of the ones that's in the community that are extremely fluent in Hebrew. Me, one of my strengths is biblical Hebrew literacy, right? The phonology, I know it, but I may not be a master at that. But literacy is important for me in order for me to read the text in its original language and be able to translate and interpret it appropriately. But I know way more than 8 Hebrew words. That's interesting. And I can go through a passage for you, several passages for you in Hebrew and break it down, parse it out, break it down for you. So for him to make a statement like that goes to show, again, it is called hasty generalization. He's only dealing with a small sample that does not represent the diversity of the whole. Now, if he interviewed, this is how you do quantitative research, right? If you was to interview several people in that variety of the whole, and you pull a representative from each one out and you survey them, you give them a questionnaire, and then you derive your information. Again, this goes to show that their methodology for coming to this conclusion is extremely weak and faulty and flawed. Then you can get a better representation of what the whole subscribes to, but you only refer to the brothers that's on the corner. That's unfortunate. This is why I would love to sit down and have a discussion with him. He says they only when they speak about God do they use Hebrew, because they say that Israelites, Black Hebrew Israelites, only use Hebrew when they call on their God. Okay. He said they keep the Jewish Sabbath. That's interesting. Thought that was one of the 10 commandments. And he says Jewish Sabbath. I don't keep what's called a Jewish Sabbath. But for him to say Jewish Sabbath, when that command was given out before this term Jew was even coined, it just boggles my mind. But we're gonna leave that alone. He says they keep Jewish customs and holidays. You mean the set apart days that the Most High told the children of Israel to keep? So a person identifies as being a descendant of the children of Israel. Don't you think that they would want to keep the customs and culture of their forefathers and foremothers? He said they take away the deity of Christ. Right now, this is called Christology, the study of Christ. Some people have a high Christology. Some people have a low Christology. I met people in the Israelite community that have a high Christology, where they put heavy emphasis on Christ and they center everything on Christ. And they believe that Christ is part of the Godhead. And they believe that Christ is a triune God. We even have some Israelites that believe in a triune God. Or they believe in a bitarian deity, right? Or they believe that Yahweh or Yahuwah, or some people call Yahweh or Yehovah, they believe that that is Christ. So again, you're not doing a really good sample, because there's some that have a high Christology in our community. Now you'll say, Divine, what is your Christology? Well, I don't subscribe to the term Christ. I believe that is more of a religious term, right? If you say Yahusha ben Yosef, the one from Nazareth, then we're talking about somebody that I deal with. But I did a lecture where I talk about how the Christology started off low and how it got high, and in the development of that. I did a lecture on that, right? But again, I'm not here to talk about what I believe per se right now. All I'm saying is they did a very poor job doing research behind this, right? They say they take away the deity of Christ, consider themselves to be Jews, which some what they call Black Hebrew Israelites do consider themselves to be Jews. They say it's our color that makes us different. Really? Your color, when you see people in the community that are pitch black to almost pale, and they say that they're Israelites because they said, we go by the seed of the Father, and my father was black. So, and even, Israelites use the scripture where you say the word speckled bird, and they use that term, right? Which goes to show that it's not just about being black per se. Let's keep moving. They say they try to talk about color mixing there, but we're all one in God. That ecumenism. That's what they push. The ecumenism. That's what they push. They say Christ doesn't discriminate at all. Christ doesn't discriminate at all. That's interesting. Let's bring up some scriptures for that. Hold on one second. All right. Oh, shout out to everybody watching right now. We got a lot of people in the chat right now, man. A lot of people in the chat, a lot of people watching. Thank you so much, family. I appreciate that. Thank y'all, man. Share this link, man. We going in. Somebody go phone your boy Craig Lewis and let's set it up, man. Let's have a discussion. Somebody reach out to X Ministries. Let them know the Divine Prospect wants to open up the door of communication. Let's sit down, have a chat. However you want to do it, let's do it. Because, I don't appreciate people using terms like demonic, because we demonic. See, now I'm going to turn up. But I'm going to turn up respectfully and righteously. But I'm going to turn up. Let's get the scripture, because he said Christ doesn't discriminate. Really? That is interesting. Christ doesn't discriminate. Okay. We're gonna get two scriptures. Let's go to Matthew chapter 10. Matthew chapter 10. Let's get it. Matthew chapter 10. We're gonna start at verse 5 and go to verse 6. And I'm reading from the New American Standard Bible. Remember I told y'all there's a formal equivalency and dynamic equivalency. This falls under the formal equivalency, which attempts to translate from the original language to English best word for word, and dynamic equivalency tries to translate it the best way. Their approach is thought for thought, right? And then there's some extremes on both ends, and there's moderates in between, etc. But I choose the New American Standard Bible. But let me read, right? And this is a critical edition Bible. Let me read it. So Matthew chapter 10, verse 5 says, these 12 Yahushua, who they call Jesus, sent out after instructing them, do not go in the way of the Gentiles and do not enter any city of the Samaritans, but rather go to the lost sheep of Israel. And as you go, preach, saying the kingdom of Shamayim is at hand. That's interesting. For somebody who doesn't discriminate, he told his disciples to only go to this demographic. Now, remember I did several lectures on this, but the main one I did was called Baptized in the Tradition of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And I talk about the early, what people will call Jewish Christians. And when we go to the book of Matthew, how the book of Matthew exudes this high level of Jewishishness. Oh, not Jewishishness, excuse me. Jewishishness. Oh, yeah, Jewishness, which sounds crazy, but Jewishness, right? And New Testament scholars, they know that. The book of Matthew it exudes this sense of it being geared towards people at that time who were the Yahudim, or what we say colloquially now, the Jews. This is why I made my argument against what people call the Great Commission, and why I say that it seems to be interpolated, because it doesn't really line up with the rest of the corpus of the text, unless the message is to be interpreted as far as going out to all nations. Yes, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit one, you're gonna move that out. But if they were to go out to all nations, it's because they were to go to their own people, and I prove that. But let's go to the next scripture first, and let me show you how I can prove to you that the disciples understood this message even when they were dispersed. I'm gonna show it to y'all real quick. Let's go there. Let's get the next scripture first, And then we're going to go here. So I went to Matthew chapter 10, verses 5, 6, and 7. Let's go to Matthew chapter 15. And we're going to start at verse. Hold on. Wait. We gotta move up in this. Let me go back. Matthew chapter 15. Let's just scroll. Let's go to verse 21. Yahusha, who they say is Jesus, went away from there and withdrew into the district of Tyre and Sidon. And a Canaanite woman or Syrophoenician woman from the region. Now, why would it be a Syrophoenician Canaanite woman? Because of the region in which he was in Tyre, Sidon. Where is that at today? Lebanon. That's where he was at. So a woman who was native to that region came to him and cried out saying, have mercy on me. Adonai, son of David, Ben Dawid, son of David. My daughter is cruelly demon possessed. But he did not answer her a word. Mad disrespectful, like we say in New York. But he answered and said, I was sent only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. You know, the same demographic in which I told the disciples to bring the message of the kingdom, not the gospel of Christ, the gospel of the kingdom. Repent, Israel, turn back to Yah, and use these, what we would call midrash, in captivity to further stay in alignment with what the Most High wants his children to obey. Hear, O Israel, your power, Yah, is one. Eloheka, our power is Echad, is one. You know who said that? Yahusha. But let's keep going. But he didn't answer a word. And his disciples came and implored him, saying, the disciples now, remember the ones he told, I only want you guys to go to the lost sheep of Israel. Don't go by way of this. Don't go. Just go to the lost sheep of Israel. They understood this. So they said, yo, send her away because she keeps shouting at. Wait. Why are y'all sending her away? Didn't Jesus tell y'all to love everybody? Didn't he tell you to give this message to everybody? Everybody? Didn't he tell you to get this to everybody? And we said, right? Oh, no, he didn't. Oh. But she came and began to bow down before him. She was insistent. Why does she have to be that insistent if this message was for everybody? Now remember, the reason why they were going about casting out demons, healing the sick, doing all this type of stuff was because they wanted to give you a sample of the kingdom to come. Because in the kingdom to come, there's no demon possession, there's no sicknesses. So what they're doing is they've been charged to produce a sample of the kingdom as a means of drawing the lost sheep into the fold, so that way the shepherd over them can lead them to the pasture of Yah. Okay. And he answered and said, is it not good to take the children's bread, which means the morsels that are going out to the lost sheep, not the ones that are woke, and give it to you or throw it to a dog? Son, that's mad disrespect. Yo, he just disrespected her. But he didn't discriminate, right? Watch this. Now, this is how you see the difference in this. Because, you know, people will come and twist this and say, oh, but he did what she asked, right? And he says, and he answered and said, is it not good, blah, blah, blah. But she said, yes, Adonai, but even the dogs feed on the crumbs which fall from the master's table. Then Yahusha said to her, oh, woman, your faith is great. It shall be done as you wish. And her daughter was healed once. Now, here's the interesting thing. Keyword, daughter was healed once. That means she probably was sick again. But here's the thing. They didn't bring the gospel of the kingdom to this woman. They just healed. Her daughter just got healed. That was it. You don't see anything here about, okay, now we're going to preach unto you the gospel. He didn't tell her to repent. He didn't say the kingdom is at hand. He didn't say, okay, he didn't do anything. All he did was because of her insistent faith, because she knew what he could do. Didn't know why he was doing it, but she knew what he could do. Just the same thing when we read in the book of Psalms where it says that the children of Israel knew the what? The acts, but Moses knew the way. She knew the acts. She didn't know the way. Because that was not what she was asking. She didn't say, I'm coming to you to receive the message of repentance so that a byproduct of that repentance could be that my daughter could be redeemed from her demonic or spiritual captivity. That is not what the dialogue was. Okay. So he did discriminate. Last scripture. Let me give it to you. You're ready for this last scripture? Because now look at this. He told them what to do. He's trying his best to follow his own instructions. And we get to Yachanan chapter 4. But we're not dealing with Yachanan right now. We're dealing with Mattiyahu right now. And in the context of what this is, his mission, his assignment, his disciples' mission assignment is to go to their own people, the lost sheep. Watch this. Let me give you a last scripture. We're gonna move on to the rest of these points that he's making, and I'm gonna open up the floor to y'all while we still got a little bit of time left. Right? Let me get into this for y'all real quick. Hold on one second. Hold on one second. All right, here we go. Here we go. Let's go to Acts chapter 11. I use this all the time. Acts chapter 11. We want to see if these disciples, which is interesting because even Shaul or Paul confirmed this. He said, yes, Peter and them, their commission was to the circumcised, but mine's to the uncircumcised. So even Paul kept it a buck and say, hey, their job is to go to the circumcised. Why would he say that? Paul said, my gospel, son. I got my gospel. I'm trying to teach y'all my gospel. I'm trying to tell y'all what my gospel is. Acts chapter 10, verse 19. So then those who were scattered because of the persecution that occurred in connection with Stephen made their way to Phoenicia and Cyprus and Antioch, speaking the word to no one except the Jews alone. Wait a second. 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 Hold on. Hold on. Let's go back. Let's rewind. Acts chapter 11, verse 19. So then those who were scattered because of the persecution that occurred in the connection with Stephen made their way to Phoenicia, to where? Cyprus, and to Antioch, speaking the word to no one except to Jews alone. But there were some of them, men of Cyprus and Cyrene, who came to Antioch and began speaking to the Greeks also, preaching, but it says here, the Lord Jesus, or Adonai, the Master, Yahusha. That is extremely particular and peculiar to have something like this in the text. But when you understand the message that I just read in Mattiyahu, it is not estranged at all. It makes perfect sense. But then some people got ahead of themselves and said, oh, let's bring it to the Gentiles. Oh, they guess when they brought it to the Jews in those regions like Cyprus and Cyrene, they brought the message there. They got excited and say, oh, let's go to Antioch and let's tell the Greeks there. And we look at Antioch historically during the Grecian Empire rule. You understand why Antioch in Syria or Aramea, why that region is extremely important. Study the history of Antioch, extremely important, right? And this is where we get, in that region of Syria, this is where we get what's called the Syriac. Get the Syriac in that region of Syria. Okay. So looking at this extremely interesting case, they understood clearly what his message was, and they went to their own people. But as we see, as the text continues to move forward, even though we see that Cephas or Peter was speaking a message to what we would call a goy or a Gentile, and that one case scenario, right? What wound up happening was when they dispersed, they still went to their own people. All right, so let's move on. Let's move on, family. Let's move on. All right. And that's crazy because every time they say that Jesus didn't say this and Jesus said that, they quote from Paul's epistles. I love it, man. Or they'll quote from the book of John, because this is what you're taught in seminary with evangelism. You taught to this. I learned this when I was going to a church, and the pastor who had a doctorate in divinity and a master's degree in theology or whatever, and he would teach like a mini seminary at the church. And I was one of the people that attended, and a lot of people didn't attend that, right? Because people didn't care about it. It was coming to Sunday, whatever. But I attended that, and he was like sharing a lot of good information in regards to what's taught in seminaries and theology school. And one of the things is you start people off with the book of John. All right, so let's back up, right? All right, so let's go back to these points that he's making. He says Christ didn't discriminate. We showed that wasn't true. He said the other guy that was on the seat with him was like, if you're born again, profess Jesus, and have the fruits of the Spirit, then you're saved. Okay. He says they downplayed the New Testament. Really? They downplayed the New Testament? Wow. When you research and you understand about Arya, Masha, Yaakov, they are the ones, well, not the only ones, but they were some of the ones who took a lot of the commandment keeper teachings that was Tanakh based, and they added the New Testament to those teachings, right? A lot of people who come from camps, they come from that school of thought, right? So they use everything in the New Testament. And they talk about these brothers on a corner. There's not too many Tanakh only brothers on a corner. It's mostly brothers who subscribe to the New Testament as well that's on a corner, and they teach you from the New Testament. So I'm trying to gauge and ascertain what sample group are you getting this information from? Because then they go on and then they say 5 years ago, almost all the Israelites was teaching only for the Old Testament. What? Yo, you can't make this up. So I'm like, 5 years ago, they were only teaching from the Old Testament. I'm like, what the? I didn't understand what he meant by that. I was like, wow, that was crazy. But he said it with such conviction. I was like, wow, maybe he really believes that. Maybe he thinks that's true. Bad research. He said, but the newer Jews who believe, like the newer generation of these Black Hebrews, like that believe, they just started to subscribe to the New Testament. He says, the girl asked a question, is there anywhere in the New Testament that we have to use the name of God? That's what she said. Like, all right. They said people go after this movement when because they're angry and they're looking for an identity. Well, a lot of Black people who suffer from post-traumatic slave disorder, where there's no institutions that diagnose this, no institutions that provide any form of prescription or any form of prognosis for people who suffer from this because of the epigenetically imposed abuse that was imposed on their ancestors, that they are reaping the same abuse, but in a different form, slavery by another name. And they are inherently have a degree of anger, right? And in the degree of bitterness, because they have been not only abused themselves by society, looked down as a second-class citizen by society. They don't have all the opportunities that others have in the society. They are more subjugated to police terrorism. They have more violence on their own selves. We start to see a situation that's going on here that's bubbling up in this community. And what I'm saying is, for people to say that we're angry and looking for identity, this is why they go to the Israelites. No, what I'm saying is, they say that anger that you have is because of sin, and your identity is only in Christ. This is what they teach you. And when I say that, because I used to be a faithful adherent to this. Not somebody on the outside looking in, somebody that was an inside looking out. So we only join because we're angry, we're looking for identity. But he goes to start talking about you understand the intent behind the language and the energy it conveys. So he's like, you can say whatever you want in any language, and pretty much he's not even advocating for Christians to study biblical Hebrew. He's saying it doesn't matter. But there's some people that get on some of us in the community for not knowing Hebrew, but Christians say it don't matter. Christians say it doesn't matter. It don't matter if you know Hebrew or not. It doesn't matter. He goes on to say, Jesus spoke Arabic. At the 12-minute, 25-second marker, he says that Jesus spoke Arabic. Now, I'm sure he made a mistake. But again, he said it with a lot of conviction. If Jesus spoke Arabic, that is truly profound. I need a primary source for that. Or I need a secondary source for that. Please show me that Jesus spoke Arabic. He says the Bible was written in Hebrew and Greek, and he forgot Aramaic because there's also Aramaic in the Bible as well. He said God doesn't care about the language. It doesn't matter. So why are any of us studying Hebrew anyway, or even Greek? What does it matter? We have the English translation. Let's just rock with that. He says the people didn't understand what Peter and them were saying in Acts chapter 2. They didn't understand. Wait, hold on. Let's get to Acts chapter 2. This is what he said. I ain't say this. He said this. Let's go to Acts chapter 2. Let's turn up. Let's go to Acts chapter 2. Interesting. Neither one of them had a physical Bible in their hand. They just had some scriptures that they were just, quoting from out of their tablet or whatever. But let's go to Acts chapter 2. Let's see if the people understood what they were saying. Apparently they did, because 3,000 of them believed. But in case I may have messed up, let's read this. Now this is Acts chapter 2, verse 5. Now they were Jews living in Jerusalem, devout men from every nation under heaven. And when this sound occurred, the crowd came together and were bewildered, because each one of them hearing them speak in his own language. So wait a second. If there's a group coming into Jerusalem, because remember, this is a feast day. Pentecost is what feast day, family? Shavuot, weeks. So you're saying that's the Hag, the Feast of Weeks? Interesting. And there was a reason why it had to be the Feast of Weeks when the Ruach HaKodesh came upon these disciples, simply because it was 40-something days after the Pesach and unleavened bread. 40-something days after. Same people that came and collected for Passover and unleavened bread, they were to return by Shavuot. Remember, 3 times out of a year that your men are to appear before me. This is what's going on. This is what they call the Hagig, or the Hajj, what we say in Arabic. This is the circling. Hag is the circling, or the pilgrimage feast. Shavuot is one of them. This is why the Ruach had to come upon them during this time. Why they say that Yahushua spent 40-something days with them. He was buying them some time until Shavuot. So the same people that persecuted him will be coming back. Did a whole lecture on this. But wait, let's keep going. It says that they heard them speak in his own language. So they were amazed and astonished, saying, why are not these who are speaking Galileans? And how is it that we each hear them in our own language in which we were born? So how could they hear them in their own language if they didn't understand what it is they were talking about? Okay, let's go back to this list. We're gonna go back to the list, family. Let's go back to the list. Then he says, they were saying, whosoever calls on the name of the Lord, you shall be saved. He said, the law never intended to make us perfect before God, which I thought was interesting. He said the law never intended to make us perfect before God. So I have a question. We're going to go back to the scripture. I have a question. Let's go back to Matthew, which is Matthew is my favorite, what they call gospel, or Injil, if you want to say in Arabic. But let's go to Matthew. And if you'll go back and watch the lecture that I did, baptized in the tradition of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, you'll know why I select Matthew. But let's go back to Matthew. Let's go back to Matthew for a second. I just want to get into something very interesting, right? Okay. So let's go to Matthew chapter 5 and go to verse 48. Matthew chapter 5, verse 48. It says, therefore, you are to be perfect as your heavenly Father is perfect. Wow. Incredible. So if Yahusha, who they say is Jesus, is telling these people to be perfect, what is he basing his perfection on? He said it. I didn't say that. He wants you to be perfect. That's what he said. Be perfect. Oh, the reason why you can't keep the law is because if you kept the law, then if everybody kept the law, then they would be perfect. But Yahushua is saying here to be perfect. The only way you can be perfect, you keep all the law. That's interesting. Some parts of the law cannot be kept because you're in captivity. Therefore, certain things you just can't keep. There's no temple. There's no Levitical priest. So certain things you can't do, not because you don't want to do it, it's because you are unable to do it. But there are other parts of it that has nothing to do with those things. And there was a substitute given in the absence of these things. Some of us teach that. But if you're saying that nobody can keep the law because the man who keeps the law is perfect, actually, you know how you can be perfect? Hold on. Wait a second. We get an advocation for being perfect. This is interesting. Let's get that. Let's get that. Hold on. We're gonna keep getting it. We're gonna keep it. Hold on. Let's get that. I'm gonna show y'all. Let's get. Oh man, hold on, family. Let's get Jacob or James. We're gonna get James chapter 3. We're gonna have fun with this. This is fun. Hold on. Let's go get Jacob or James chapter 3. So James chapter 3 verse 1 says, not many of you, this is from the Berean, right? Not many of you should become teachers, my brothers, because you know that we who teach will be judged more strictly. We all stumble in many ways. If anyone is never at fault in what he says, he is a perfect man, able to control his whole body. So if you want a tip on how to be perfect, watch your mouth, son. That's what I'm saying. Watch your mouth, son. You want to be perfect? Watch your mouth, son. Wait, but you can't be perfect. But he said you can. Just watch your mouth, son. Yahushua says, oh, just be perfect. The stative verb, I want you to be perfect. You must exist in perfection. It's an ongoing process, just like your Father in heaven is. Wait a second. There's more. Wait, there's more. There's more. Hold on. There's more. Here's more. Let's get 1 Yochanan chapter 5, verse 17 and verse 18. There's more. Wait, here we go. You ready? Let's get it. Very clear. Wait. Let me get verse 16 first. Remember, I did a whole lecture called Are All Sins Created Equal? You'll go back and watch that if you missed that lecture. But let me read this. If anyone sees his brother committing a sin not leading to death or a sin not to death, he shall ask, and God will for him give life to those who commit sin not to death. Wait a second. What the heck is a sin not to death? How can you distinguish what is a sin not to death and a sin that is unto death? How do you know that if you don't know the law? There's a sin leading to death. I do not say that he should make requests for this. So this could either pertain something that is a capital offense, which I taught, or some people say it's blasphemy. He says, all unrighteousness is sin, and there is a sin not leading to death. But look, let's keep going. We know that no one who is born of God sins. What? But he who was born of God keeps him, and the evil one does not touch him. So we know that he who's born of God sin. If you're born of God, you don't sin. That sounds like a perfect person to me. So all these people who are born again, you're born of God, you shouldn't sin. It's right there. I didn't write that. But you're saying that God doesn't expect us to be perfect. So that means we're just given a gateway to do whatever. And if we mess up, hey, just ask for forgiveness. I'm good. No. Culture helps to refine you. If you understand the mandates that have been handed down from the ancestors who created a tried and true system that took hundreds of years for them to perfect for their people and pass it down to their descendants to refine and mature them. Remember the audience and who this is being written to. This is a form of exegesis. Okay, let's continue, family. Let's continue. Y'all got me turning up in here. Let's continue. Let's continue. One world, please. Let's keep to the subject. I'll put you in timeout just for right now. I'll bring you back. Just stay to the subject. All right. All right. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. No, I didn't skip Acts chapter 10 purposely because I was going to something more specific. I don't have the whole time to exegete the entire book of Acts. But if you want chapter 10, I'll give it to y'all. But not right now. Let me finish what I'm doing. I'm not trying to diverge off. Okay. So let's stay on track. Let's stay on track. Let's stay on track. Let's stay on track. Okay. There's a lot of interesting people that's in here now. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Look at the rest of this. He says, he said the law never intended to make us perfect before God. The law never intended to make you perfect before God. But if you kept the law, you'd be perfect. You know, it says something specifically. Wait, let's get that scripture. Let me get that for you. Let's get that scripture. Let's get that. This goes back to Jacob or James. Chapter 2, verse 10 says, whoever keeps the whole law but stumbles at just one point is guilty of breaking all of it. But then he goes into context, which is why you got to read the rest of it and not cherry pick. Okay, or use a proofread text. You just proofreading text. So whoever keeps the whole law but stumbles at one point is guilty of breaking all of it. But if you kept the whole thing and you did not stumble, you'd be perfect. That's interesting. That's interesting. Let's keep going. The law shows us that we can't keep it. The law shows you that you can't keep it. That is interesting that the law shows you something that you cannot do. But everybody before Jesus came on the scene must have been condemned because they were keeping the law or their culture. Judaism starts to turn it into this other stuff, but let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving. Let me see. He says they try to keep the 10 commandments, but they forget about all the other mitzvot, all the other laws. This is what he says. He said they don't keep the laws because they don't love their neighbor as themselves. So he's saying y'all don't really keep the law because y'all don't love your neighbors as yourselves. That is interesting because there are people in this community that do have a genuine love for themselves and their neighbors. And they're not spewing what you deem as being hatred or hate speech. There's Christians that I know who profess to be Christians and they hate their neighbor. How does that work? Matter of fact, I've been done wrong more by Christians than people in my own community. Even though people in my community have done me wrong, I've been done wrong with more Christians. You know why? Because if we're looking at statistically speaking, there are more Christians or people identify as a Christian than there are people that identify as Israelites. So I've been done wrong more so by people that identify as Christian than people that identify as my own that have my own cultural subscription, which is very interesting. Let's keep going. They said it's not about color. I said you're right. It's not about color. But ethnicity and culture plays a major role. And the moment you take that away, you are nullifying a good method of exegeting the text because you got to identify the audience and the speaker, author, or writer. The context, historically, culturally, these things you got to understand. The language, syntactically, lexically, you got to understand what's going on. Historically, you got to take all this stuff into account to properly exegete the text. He says, what's more important, Jesus' blood or his color? What? his blood or his color? Which one is more important? That's interesting. I did a whole lecture on this in regards to his martyrdom. They don't see it as martyrdom. I call it a martyrdom, and I prove it. How do you know this person was a martyr? Because they knew they were going to die for what it was they were teaching, and they taught it anyway. And their death, and the reason why they died, was to spur additional faith onto those who were losing faith, who were following him. Because this is why the importance of the resurrection was necessary, because a man dying and coming back to you is going to strengthen your faith and move you to go get this gospel of the kingdom out to the lost sheep of Israel. Let's keep going. He said they don't believe in hell. That is interesting. I actually touched on that topic through the valleys and onto the mountains. And I told y'all, when I go to hell, I'm going to take some pictures, and I'm going to bring it back for y'all. I'm going to shoot a video and everything. When I go to hell, I plan on going to hell really soon. And when I go to hell, I'm definitely going to take some pictures and shoot a video and show it to y'all. In my lecture that I talked about this on, I showed y'all a video, somebody in hell already. I'm going to show you a picture of hell, right, and some video. And we can go over that at that time when I produce the video for you guys. But I look forward to going to hell, right? Now, this lake of fire concept is something separate, but then you also have this concept of hell. When you actually start to research this thing, you see the origin of where this comes from, right? It was infused by a lot of not just Greco-Roman, but Persian-esque beliefs as well. And also, when you know Zoroastrianism, you see a lot of these things have parallelism, similarities to Judaism. And Judaism took on a different form when the Yahudim returned from Babylonian captivity than what it had previously. New Testament scholars attest to this. People who do biblical archaeology can attest to this. Surveys have been done. I've showed you several sources in the past. But let's keep going. He said people who stumbled off into this movement didn't have a father, was church hurt, or was raised in it. Wow, if that's not some closed-minded stuff, I don't know what is. So you're saying that this is crazy, especially when the statistics is not on the side of Christianity. There are more African-American people who identify as a Christian who come from fatherless homes than there are individuals that identify as Israelites that come from fatherless homes. Are we talking about ratios or just generally statistically speaking? So I say this to say that it's very interesting when you reduce the scope of what is called the people call the Black Hebrew Israelite movement. Like I said, I don't like using that term BHI. But this movement and saying, well, you know what? It's most people who don't have a father, who grew up without a father, was church hurt, came from a broken home, or they was raised in it. That's interesting, because I know a lot of people who come to Christianity because they never had a father, and they say, well, you do have a heavenly father. There's people that were church hurt, so they leave one church, go to another, and or they were raised in church, so that's why they're in church today. That's extremely hypocritical, and I think that was entirely just unnecessary to bring into this. That was actually an ad hominem attack. To be honest, that's insulting, extremely insulting, extreme. Because what about those who have both parents, didn't have a broken home, never was church hurt, and wasn't raised in it, who came to this information? What about them? Do you factor in that demographic when you do your sample study, your quantitative research that you did? I just want to know. I have to see these things. I would love to see these things. Let's keep going. It says your history has to be raised in bitterness and hatred to join the movement. Again, they keep saying bitterness and hatred. Again, only speaking about one segment of the entire community. That's like me looking at now mind you, when I was a Christian, we would go on missionary trips, right? We would go in different places across the U.S. and do missionary work, right? And we would come across other groups that were missionaries too. And some of these groups that we came across that I've met personally, been to their churches, they condemn everybody to hell on the corner. That's what they do. Shout, scream, you're going to hell. I'm like, whoa. When I saw that, I was like, this is incredible. It's incredible. This is what they do. On the corner, evangelizing, telling everybody going to hell. That they're sinners, they're going to hell. God is not happy with you. This, and that. I'm like, wow. And some of them were even racist in doing it. Because a lot of towns that we went to wasn't just city towns, it was towns that were in the suburbs. And some neck of the woods that we shouldn't have been in. Interesting. Again, highly hypocritical. He said they can't see themselves as being regenerated. Interesting. There's a lot of us that can attest that the old person he was before, you will not be able to identify him today because that's not us. We're a totally different person. So for saying something like that, again, is another ad hominem attack. Just deal with the core of our doctrines if that is what you have a beef with. By you saying that the ones that you've encountered, they exude this kind of, this kind of presence, then we can also say the same thing from Christians who we interface that also have that same kind of essence to them. He said they harbor unforgiveness and they blame someone else for things. They heard it preached and didn't see it lived in the church. They heard erroneous doctrine. They're not perpetuating responsibility. They're saying, and what they said was that Hebrew Israelites, black Hebrew Israelites, are not responsible. They don't take care of their homes. They don't take care of their children. They don't take care of their community. This is what they said. They're irresponsible. I know a lot of Christians that are equally irresponsible if we want to go that route. And I can actually name more Christians who are equally irresponsible to the people that you call Hebrew Israelites. I got to go all the time. You can put any title on yourself. People are still people at the end of the day. So if you make an excuse from leaving one group to join another simply because a person hurt you, then you were not striving to embody the ideals of that frame of mind or that ideology in the first place. You were looking for that perfection in everybody else, in a system, in a church, in a congregation, in a mosque, in a temple, in a synagogue. That's what you were looking for the perfection in, but not in the actual ideals itself. The ideals transcends the vessels who convey it, even though sometimes certain vessels are the originators of this essence that is promulgated forward, and they are the ones that continue to relay it across boundaries so that it can be far-reaching. But like I tell you all the time, I don't address the person, I address the egregore behind the person. When you attack the egregore, you get to the core essence of what the thing is, and you eschew the vessel. And she says, well, there has to be a solution to how we can save this generation, from the black Hebrew Israelites, because they're so evil and wicked. Never mind what the things, some of the things the government is doing. Never mind some of the things that actual racist groups are doing when they're actually killing people. Okay. Never mind these other things. Never mind the trauma that's happening all in the world and the disasters that are killing people. The hurricane that's killing people. Never mind all of that. This generation is getting destroyed by these Hebrew Israelite movement. Never mind these other awakened consciousness groups. Never mind them. It's the Hebrew Israelites. You know why? Because they use the same Bible we use and they twisting it. It's hard to pull the youth from this group once they're in doctrine. I guess it's hard for a lot of people to leave it and go to Christianity, but sometimes it's hard for people to leave Christianity and go to being a Hebrew Israelite. It goes both ways. He says, again, they continue to emphasize a broken home, crisis in the community. They say, you can't blame this on the white man. Okay, well, everybody's perspective as an Israelite differs, just like everybody who's a Christian, they differ, because Christianity has over 250 denominations. I have 4 books on that. Over 250 denominations with almost 2 billion adherents worldwide. That's interesting. So I'd have to get somebody from each one of these denominations as a sample size to at least say, hey, I got somebody that represents the doctrine or the tenets of faith from this sect and this sect and this sect. And then I would do a general consensus. And then from there, I will start my research. Before I even come to a conclusion, I'd have to work from that data inductively, analyzing it before I come to a conclusion. Or I could go deductively if I just take general claims and work my way down to the facts. I could go from facts to a general conclusion or from a general conclusion to the facts. Okay. Black Americans are crying out, crime and racism are committing themselves, and they're looking for someone to blame. They want to seek hidden truths. This is not just with the Israelites. Christians do the same thing. I know conscious Christians, they do the same thing. They blame the Illuminati. They blame the Committee of 300. They blame the Trilateral Commission. They blame NAFTA, NASA, all of these things. So those were most of the points that I gathered from this video that I want to speak on and share. This was, again, a Freestyle Friday, so I'm freestyling this, right? But I would love to have a sit down with Pastor Craige Lewis and have a chat with the brother. Like I said, I was a fan of his work back in the day, but the reason why I'm upset with this is because not only did they call it demonic, which there are Christians who can be called demonic as well, but the issue that I have is, aside from the ad hominem attacks, you did poor research, poor research. What was the sample size that you utilized that represents the variety of the various sects that's in this community? I want to see your methodology for this. You did poor research, very poor research. So, this is for Pastor Craige Lewis. I would love to have a sit-down discussion with you. We can do it via Google Hangouts. I could fly out to where you at. You could fly out to where I'm at. We could sit down, have this talk, this conversation. But I would love to discuss it with you because, and the reason why I say is because I believe from in the past, from following your ministry, that you have a great assignment to the community, and you've done a due diligence in regards to presenting information that has woken a lot of people. Matter of fact, I've used some of your DVDs, The Truth Behind Hip Hop, to wake up unbelievers who then became Christians who were following after the secular realm. Matter of fact, some of what you taught helped influence my first sermon when I was a Christian. That's how profound this is. How profound this is. So I would love to have a discussion with you and to just deal with some of the root ideals, and let's just push aside a lot of these ad hominem attacks, these red herrings. Let's deal with the central thing, so this way I can show you the research that I've done on my community and provide it to you so you can come to some better conclusions. That's all I want to say in regards to that. That's all I want to say in regards to that. All right. So I see the clock is ticking down. Clock is ticking down. I don't know who this Jesus Christ person is, but you're bugging out a little bit. So Jesus Christ actually showed up to my chat. Can you believe that? Jesus Christ was in my chat. Praise God. Hallelujah. Jesus Christ. What I was saying was so profound that Jesus Christ himself said, yo, I got to get into Divine Prospects chat. Jesus Christ was just in my chat. I'm not lying. It's there, family. Jesus Christ is in my chat. He's there right now. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Jesus Christ. But I put you on timeout right now, right? I put you in daddy's corner right now. You in timeout. All right. So Jesus Christ, fall back from right now. Fall back. All right. But anyway, yeah. He said you made it, Divine. You're right. How often can you say I put Jesus Christ in timeout? How many of y'all can say Jesus Christ showed up for your chat? It was so profound that Jesus Christ himself had to come down off the throne and say, let me go see what Divine Prospect is doing. Facts. All right. Let me go back. I'm not being disrespectful, family. Whoever Jesus Christ is in the chat. This person is in the chat. They believe that they're Jesus Christ. This is what I'm talking about. The person in the chat. All right? Person in the chat. So don't tell me that Israelites can't get something up there if Jesus is the one up there, because Jesus Christ is showing up in chats, family. Facts. Yo, let's look at the chat. Facts. Because said Jesus wept. Yeah. All right, family. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm just going to open this up real quick and let y'all speak. You know what I'm saying? Hold on. Let me put this out here. If anybody has a quick question or two, let me know. I'll address it real quick. And then I'm getting off this session, man. I think I went ham enough. Excuse me. I think I went tofu enough, because we don't do ham over here. All right. I think I went tofu enough or veggie enough. with this information. All right. So Aldrich Dow, I did speak on demonic possession. I think it was 2 sessions ago. So check the last 3 sessions, Freestyle Friday sessions. I did go into that a little bit. I explained what the shadim is, and it has how it goes back to the Assyrian word sedu, and that's a protective spirit. And I explained what all of that was. I went into Shaul and Dawid and gave you an understanding from a Tanakh perspective, and then worked the way into the Brit Hadashah. All right. Well, one world meditation. That's a great question. When Jesus Christ comes out of timeout, you can ask Jesus Christ. All right. Ask Jesus Christ. He's in the chat. He's in the chat. He's in the chat. All right. So, man, how come you can't ask me some simple questions when I'm about to sign off? This is why I love this chat, because it attracts people that are actually critically thinking and that really want to get an understanding. And I may not have all the answers, but I'll go back and research it, and I'll bring for you guys what I have. You understand what I'm saying? But y'all ask me a lot of things. So wait, I can't answer all these questions. But Yahweh's one said thoughts on Napoleon epistles. If you want to know my perspective on Napoleon epistles, I did 2 lectures on it. I did one called Baptized in the Tradition of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. And I also did one called man, I always forget this one. But hold on. I'm gonna share this link again, right? It's called Losing Religion to the Amazonian Piraha Tribe by Daniel Everett. Please, family, go back and watch this. Excellent video. Excellent video. Go back and watch this. All right. Speak on the Mazaroth and how it correlates to the 12 tribes. Kenneth Beal, you gotta have to give me more information on that. Shout out to Azazaya Ban Yahawada. Shout out to Last FTV in the building. Kim Kosh in the building. Randall Skillman in the building. I'm gonna shout out everybody on here, man. Shout out to G-Con. G-Con is in the building too. Shout out to G-Tracks Beats in the building. Marquise Randall in the building. Get Wise in the building. Niecy's PC's in the building. Cheryl in the building with us. Who else is up here, man? Who else I ain't see gonna need to get a shout out? My brother Quincy Claiborne in the building. Lively Livings in the building. Who else is up in here, man? Who else? Jesus Christ is still on timeout. Almost Reunited in the building. Let me see. Who else? If you want to shout out, hit one. I give you a shout out. Hit one if you want to shout out. Want to make sure I shout out everybody that's supporting right now. Shout out to Zemach in the building as well. Adriana Wallace in the building. Somebody named Female Pimp. I'm just at a loss for words on that, but I'm gonna keep going. Shout out to Yoel Ben Yisrael in the building. Who else is up in here? Ken Lewis, who's up in here with us. If you want to shout out, hit one. Let me shout out Disha Lovely in the building. I think I got most of y'all in here. I don't know. There's was over 125 people in here at one point. Shout out to Pip King in the building. Shout out to Dale H, Patricia Thomas in the building. Aldrich Dow. There's going to be thousands of people that's going to go back and watch this video. I want to make sure that they know what makes this possible. Everybody that supports us financially, supports us through prayer, supports us by sharing this link. People that even send us information that helps us to build. Shout out to all of y'all for that. I love you guys for that. All right. So let me get the lecture real quick about my position on the Pauline epistles, so you guys can see what my position is as it pertains to Shaul, right? And I'm gonna post that link in the chat real quick, and then I'm gonna turn down a little bit. I don't know. I think when it's over 100 and something people, almost 200 at some points in this chat, it's really when I be turning up. I mean, I gotta turn up for all these people to come in. I gotta turn up for Jesus Christ to join my chat. You see that? Man, if I could get Jesus Christ in here, don't tell me that I can't do. You know the scripture says, all things are possible through what? Through Christ who strengthens us. When I seen Jesus Christ in that chat, I know automatically right now that all things are possible. Praise the Most High. Hold on, let me get it for you, all right? So the name of the lecture is called Utilizing Textual and Historical Analyses to Determine the Hebraic New Testament Message. It's the primer edition, right? So let me go ahead and give you guys the link for that. I'm gonna give you guys the link for that.
It's Halloween.
So those who wants to, so again, a lot of the questions you guys asked me has been answered in lectures that I've done. Shout out to Bezaliel Yisrael for the donation. I appreciate that. To those of y'all who want to donate, you could donate via GoFundMe. I'll put the link in the chat so you guys have it. Let me put the link in the chat so y'all have it. And then I'll put the PayPal also as well so that you guys have that as well. Let me post it in there for y'all too, because I've been having people inbox me on Facebook asking me and on Instagram asking me. So you can support by doing a donation there if you want. And also my PayPal link, I'll give it to y'all. It's www.paypal.me/purpose to serve. You're going to see a logo there that says C. It's a green C with a backslash and a colon. That's for my computer repair business that I have. All right, because we have that as well. But let me go ahead and give y'all a link for that lecture. And those of you who are interested in what my position is as it pertains to the Pauline epistles, right? So let me go ahead and drop that in there for y'all. So Jesus Christ, man, you could definitely come back. Matter of fact, Jesus, can I get you on the Hangouts? We could do a one-on-one. Shout out to Yahuchanan ben Yahuda in the building. Adonaiah ben Yashrael in the building. These people right here support this platform. I appreciate that. Jesus, if you're there, Jesus. Jesus, if you're there, if you can hear me. Jesus, please let me know. I want to send you the link. Definitely want to get you in the chat. I got a lot of questions to ask you, Jesus. It's been over 2,000 years, right? If this is truly the real Jesus, I got some real questions I need to ask you, man. All right. So Jesus, let's perform a miracle. All right. I think that people would love to see you. That way they know if you're white or black. They want to see if your head of your hair is white like wool. We want to see that. We want to see if your arms and your hands is brass like your feet. We want to see this. And I'm only saying this to the person who was in the chat that's called Jesus Christ. I'm not being funny. I'm not being facetious or disrespectful, family. I'm saying Jesus Christ is in the chat. Facts. Shout out to my brother Get Wise who just made a donation. I appreciate that. Appreciate that. Shout out to Axanar Sanin in the building. I don't know where Jesus is at. But anyway, I sent y'all the link for that video if you want to see my position on Paul. It's in the video. It's in the link is in the chat. Check that out. And again, family, y'all ask me a lot of questions. I always encourage y'all to send it to my email address because, you know, and you got to give me some time to get through it. I get hundreds of emails a week, hundreds of inboxes every week. So sometimes it's hard for me to respond back immediately. So just give me some time, either me or somebody that's part of my staff. We'll go through it and we'll get back to you. To bring it to my attention, I get back to you. Shout out to Eaton Yisrael in the building. Jesus Christ is back. Jesus Christ. Okay? He's in the chat right now. I'm not lying. Facts. Jesus Christ, please accept my invitation to come on to the Google Hangouts to have a discussion. Because people have been saying a lot of stuff about you. We need you to set the record straight. Right? Jesus, do you want to be invited to the Google Hangouts? Let me know. All things are possible to Christ who strengthens us. All right? Jesus said, has your heart changed towards me, kingdom? I don't know. Let's get on camera and talk, and I'm sure you can convince me. I'm sure you can convince me. All right? So Jesus, let's get on chat, Jesus. Let me know. I want to send you this link, Jesus. All right? He's there. He's in the chat. I'm not making this up. I'm not making this up. Aldrich said, open the Google chat for everybody. Okay, I'll do that. I'll open it up for everybody. But let me give you the rules. No cursing or explicit language. No ad hominem attacks, insulting me or anybody else that's on the platform. And 3, have some courtesy to allow others to speak. If you can follow these 3 things, you could definitely come in here. I know Jesus has temperance and self-discipline, so I ain't got to say this to Jesus Christ. All right? Jesus Christ, if you want to give me the altar call, Jesus, right, you got to join in. Okay? I'm about to share the link. Jesus, I'm sure you have a Gmail account. All right, or a Google account, Jesus. All right, here we go. There you go, Jesus. All right. So Jesus, there's the link. So join in, Jesus. I want to chat with you. He said, I haven't shaved, my robes are dirty. Jesus, we don't care about that. Remember, you didn't come in a form so that man could desire you. So Jesus, we want you to come as you are. All right, let's go. Oh, come on. You got to do some miracles real quick. Well, Jesus, there's a couple of miracles I would love for you to send my way. I know that if I pray, it probably won't work that way because I'm an Israelite. But do you have a number? Jesus, if you have a number or an email address, because I know you're busy, put it in the chat, please, if you don't mind. All right, please put it in the chat, and we can get there. All right, and I want to highlight you. All right. I don't know, Nisis. If we see what he looks like, we can see if he was really legit and hiding in Mizraim. I don't know. I'm waiting on Jesus. Oh, see, that's my man. Jesus said, "Don't pray, just text me." Jesus, you the man. I sent you my email address. Send me your number, Jesus, and let's talk. Yo, I just like said 666 is his number. Yo, y'all are crazy in this chat, man. Again, to my Christian family, this is not a disrespect to y'all. I'm saying this. Jesus is actually in my chat. All right. You can go back and watch this video. Look at the live chat. Jesus is in the chat. I'm not making this up. Jesus is in the chat. He's in the chat. He's in the chat, man. Seriously. Facts. Facts. So anyway, family, I'm just messing with y'all. I'm just messing. I love your family. Thank y'all for watching, man. I'm about to tune out because I'm a little tired, and I gave you about 2.5 hours. I was trying to keep it at 2 hours, but I'm gonna keep it short. But what I want to say, family, is Jesus definitely hit me up. Jesus, Jesus said white lineage. Gotcha. So Aldrich Dow said, tell us something that you have recently learned. Okay, I'll end off with that. One thing that I recently learned is that the best way to convey your message of truth is allowing your instincts to speak. Let me say it again. The best way to convey your message of truth is to allow your instincts to speak. Why do I say that? Because if what you hold true to is dear to you, and you believe an impression is placed upon the leb, the heart, or the source of who you are, then you don't have to think in order for it to act out of you. This is when I tell people all the time, how do you know that you've been transformed? Is that when you react instinctively, and that reaction is in alignment with the ideals that you stand on. So if you have not come to that point in your walk, continue to strive further, push harder, go deeper. Like I tell all the time, Devon, you deep, this, and I say, yes, the reason why I'm deep is because I have to dig wells in order to have a reservoir. So when there's a famine or things get dry, I can always reach down into my well. Okay. So what I'm saying is, family, is that we all can achieve the goals in which we seek. There is something that we have surrounded ourselves with that is the driving force to move us towards perfection. Don't let anybody tell you you can't be perfect. Perfection can be obtained, but it requires a lifetime of pursuit, diligent pursuit. Strive for that straight and narrow. You're striving for it because there's a path of destruction that's wide and broad. Torah comes from the word yara, and the purpose of that is to tell us that it is something, an archery term, in which something is thrown towards the mark. When you sin, you are missing that mark. Perfection is every time you strive to hit the mark. That doesn't mean you will do it every time, but the efforts to strive to do it, you know that you're on the right path. And when a situation brews, the second self of you, which is really your inner self, it is what will act and move you. You will see what kind of pneuma or breath that is in you, because it takes breath. It takes the oxygen that is going into your cells to energize you to act. And when you start to lack oxygen, then you have another form of ATP, which is an alternate way of getting energy, which is a way of the ATP without oxygen, which produces the lactic acid, the type that builds up and slows you down. But the breath that you take in, the oxygen that your body is capturing, it needs that energy in order to project forward. So whatever it is that you are breathing in, figuratively, spiritually, even naturally, will continue to dictate how you act. Why? Because the brain requires a healthy dose of oxygen. See, the creator didn't make a mistake when he was creating us. He understood that we needed oxygen. This is why when we go back to the story about Noah and the flood and everything like that, there's a scientific thing to that, according to what was conveyed by the text, unintentionally, which means that the atmospheric temperature, the atmospheric oxygen content depleted. And because it has done that, we're not oxygen rich anymore. This is why we need more breath in our lungs. Breathing techniques helps to extend your livelihood, right? And the spirit is also was known by the ancients as the thing that without it, you would immediately die. So they equated that figuratively to an essence of force that can be felt but can't be seen, that is moving and guiding you along the rails of life. And that trajectory in which you target and what you aim for, the ballistics of the thing is, can I project my soul essence into the target in which I was purposed and destined to aim for? Do you have it? Is it in you? And if you need to know what I got to do it, just do it. Anyway, family. So, I love you, family. Thank you for watching. Stay set apart, stay focused, stay diligent. Until we meet again, family, much ahab to those of y'all out there that are watching. Enjoy your Shabbat to those who are keeping your Shabbat. Please share this link with everybody that you know. Please subscribe to the channel if you have not already subscribed. Hit that bell notification so you can be notified whenever we go live, whenever a video comes up, because I promise you, we will continue to deliver content that's edifying, that's encouraging, that's powering, that's educational, and at the very least, thought-provoking, even if you disagree with it. That's the intent, to get you to use the mind. Use the mind, the center of who you are. Don't let nobody tell you that when you use your mind, you're not spiritual. No, you need your mind in order to act out spiritually, because you're manifesting something that's abstract and making it concrete. You need the mind in order for that to happen. The heart itself is not the real heart. That is the core and the center of making everything. It is the seat of the mind where the soul dwells. This is what you have to train up, family, so you can stay diligent, and you have to gird it up each and every day. There's a war against us out there. We have to be mindful of that, family, and we can win that war once we use the right faculties and the right tools and the right character to overcome it. Love you, family. Thank you for watching. Hit like if you enjoyed what you saw. Mash that like button, family. Hit subscribe, and I'll see you later. Jesus, I'm going to send you a text. Peace and shalom, family. Much love.